A Beacon in the Dark by Noha Ijiachi. Chapter 24. This one summer. Uraraka, I messed up. Ochako was just about to finally take the first bite of her delicious, economical instant ramen, tired but happy after the day at the amusement park, when her phone buzzed with a text from Todoroki. She sighed, looking at it. Todoroki, you are always so dramatic. What happened now?
No, I really messed up. I seriously messed up. She blinked, perplexed. By the frantic way the texts were coming in, it was clear that Todoroki was actually pretty rattled.
Dude, calm down. Tell me what happened.
I kissed him.
Oh. That certainly explained the panic. Todoroki, you can't just go from 0 to 100 like that.
I know I messed up. He was just standing there being all nice and soft, and I don't know, there was this weird atmosphere, and it was so close, and I just leaned in and went for it. And he seemed to be totally into it at first, like we kissed for a bit, but then he suddenly pushed me away so hard at the door, and then he just had this shock expression. I don't know. I made a mess. What do I do?
Okay, first of all, calm down. Are you still at Midoriya's place?
No, I ran away. You should have seen his face. I wasn't staying there. Achako's hand slaps on her face in desperation.
You ran away? Dude, communication! It is the most important thing!
Screw communication. It looked like I tried to stab him. You communicate with that.
Todoroki, I'm sure you're blowing this out of proportion. Now calm down. I'll speak with Midoriya, okay?
No, don't.
Todoroki, just let me take care of it. It's fine.
I'm going to jump from the first bridge I find on the way.
No jumping from anywhere. Just go home, make yourself a tea or something, or I don't know. You can come to my place if you prefer.
No thanks. I'd rather you not see the face of absolute failure. I'm going home.
Todoroki, please, just go. I don't know, take a shower, read a book, chill. Send me a message when you're home. I'll talk with Midoriya in the meantime.
Alright, fine. She sighs, her forehead hitting the table. She knows her ramen will go cold this evening. She switches the window on her private conversation with Midoriya, and then she hesitates. How do you even start a conversation of this kind? Hey, so I heard that our mutual friend stuck his tongue in your mouth and then ran? A bit too blunt. She might scare Midoriya away like a little bunny.
Hey, Midoriya, you got home in one piece? Today was fun, right?
Yes, perfect, generic enough, but still giving him an opening to panic text scream at her. He told you. Maybe not as generic as she thought. Oh, Rebecca, I'm so confused.
Midoriya, what happened? Todoroki wasn't making a lick of sense and was being super dramatic. I'm hoping you will be the reliable source in this whole debacle.
I don't know. I really don't know. I can't even make sense of my own feelings right now. Oh, Rebecca, I'm afraid my quirk might have done something weird between me and Todoroki.
What? What does your quirk have to do with anything now?
It's just, when he kissed me, it was like I was overwhelmed by what I'm pretty sure were his feelings and thoughts, like they were my own. But at the same time, what if they weren't his feelings? What if they were mine and I never realized and I accidentally influenced him into kissing me? I mean, I don't think Todoroki could possibly like me in that way. I might have done something horrible and not even realized. Ochako is so done with these two idiots.
Midoriya, you're a dummy. Todoroki has been smitten with you for ages.
What?
You're unbelievable. He's been crushing on you since after the festival. Did you really not notice?
No. Well, I guess that answers her question on whenever Midoriya had noticed or not her own. Thankfully now gone. Praise the Lord. What even possessed her into getting the hots for this disaster of a guy? Embarrassing crush.
Midoriya, Todoroki really likes you. A lot. So calm down and don't go off with your wild theories as usual. He kissed you because he really wanted to.
Okay. I guess. But I'm still confused.
That's okay. You can take some time to think about your own feelings.
I reacted really badly. I probably hurt him. I didn't mean to.
I know you didn't mean to. You should at least send him a message to let him know that and that you need time to think about things.
Yeah, you are right. Thank you for talking me down. I'll think about everything. For now, I just know that I don't want to lose him.
No problem. If you want to discuss anything at all, you know where to find me. Midoriya? This is not the end of the world, okay? I'm sure you will both find a way to not destroy your relationship as long as you keep calm and level-headed.
Yeah. Thank you, Uraraka. You are the best.
Oh, bye now.
Izuku melted on the bench he was sitting on, massaging his eyes tiredly. He felt empty, like he ran a marathon. He had finally managed to compose a message that wasn't a stammered, garbled mess and send it to Todoroki.
Hey, I'm sorry I reacted badly earlier. I just didn't expect that, and I'm very confused. I need some time to think. I hope to see you soon.
And he was now just sitting there, holding his silent phone between both hands, a chilly night breeze gently caressing him. He hears steps, and his ever-useful quirk doesn't leave him any doubt about who it could be approaching from behind.
Hey.
All Might says gently, sliding to sit by Izuku's side on the bench.
Did you and young Todoroki have a disagreement?
You could say that.
Izuku answers slowly after long seconds of silence.
Sorry. I know we both agreed on starting fresh and being honest, but this is kind of very personal.
Izuku adds with a sigh. All Might hums.
Well, being honest doesn't mean you have to tell me everything. It just means that if you want to tell me something, you can be honest with me.
Izuku doesn't answer, idly playing with the phone in his hands.
We should probably go back. Your mother's dinner is surely getting cold.
Right.
Another sigh makes it out of his lips.
Did you stop by for a particular reason?
Not really. I think your mother just wanted to make sure I was well fed. Apparently she got it in her head that the hospital meals weren't good enough. Although there's something I'd like to discuss with you too, since I'm here.
That drags a little giggle snort out of Izuku.
Yeah, I bet she did.
He stands from the bench, pocketing the phone. All Might followed him as they turned to cover the rather short distance between Izuku's home and the little park he's seeked refuge in.
Hey, All Might?
Izuku starts, a little hesitant.
Toshinori.
Look, I'm never going to be able to do that, so just give up.
All Might stickers at that reply.
Anyway, have you
Ever been in love? Izuku wants to ask, but that's pretty on the nose considering the circumstances. Seems kind of disrespectful toward Todoroki, too, to just give him away to All Might like that. But the man is kindly waiting for him to go on as they walk.
Nothing. Sorry, just stupid thoughts.
All Might doesn't say anything, and yet Izuku has the distinct impression he just saw right through him. Despite everything that has happened, the people still seem to have some measure of trust in UA, or at least the parents of their students. Not all of them, though. Hagakare's parents have been pretty hard to convince and required quite a bit to get around the idea for a boarding school, but insofar they've been successful. The next one is what really worried Aizawa. He sighs, fingers drumming on the steering wheel as Toshinori, sitting at his side, still half bandaged and with an arm in a cast, looked out the window.
You are worried,
He says as the drive goes, breaking the silence. Aren't you? Aizawa replies. We've let that boy get kidnapped. I don't think his parents will be so receptive about the idea of having him away from home now. A sigh. I think I'm honestly less worried about convincing Midoriya's mother with everything that has happened to him than I am about Bakugo's family.
Oh, we can skip Midoriya.
Toshinori says, turning around to him with a distracted blink.
I had the chance to speak with them already. Can't say Inko was exactly happy about the idea, but we had quite the open heart-to-heart, the three of us, so it's okay.
Well, that's a small measure of relief, at least. One problem taken off Aizawa's apparently infinite list of problems. In that moment, I truly know that this school really understood. Katsuki. I trust him in your hands. I'm sure you will be able to make a real hero out of him. Bakugo himself had been silent, if ever frowning, whenever his mother would push his head down in a bow. They both took a deep, relieved sigh once outside the Bakugo's residence. That surely was a weight off their shoulders. There's a click of a door opening, and they turn, Bakugo walking outside after them with a pensive frown.
All Might,
he says without any preambles, looking up at Toshinori.
What?
In that moment, I truly knew that this school really understood Katsuki. I trust him in your hands. I'm sure you will be able to make a real hero out of him. Bakugo himself had been silent, if ever frowning, whenever his mother would push his head down in a bow. They both took a deep, relieved sigh once outside the Bakugo's residence. That surely was a weight off their shoulders. There's a click of a door opening, and they turn, Bakugo walking outside after them with a pensive frown.
All Might,
he says without any preambles, looking up at Toshinori.
what really is Deku to you?
Toshinori does not take his gaze away, Aizawa silently observing them from the corner of his eyes. There's a moment of tense silence.
He's a student, like you are, of course.
Toshinori replies evenly.
Someone with potential to grow into a fine hero, just like you.
Bakugo's eyes were unprescrutable as he stares at Toshinori for long seconds. Then they break contact, sliding down on his side.
You don't want to tell me.
He says, voice low.
That's okay, I guess.
Toshinori blinks as the boy turns around to get back into his home.
And thanks for everything.
He finally adds before opening the door, getting back inside. Aizawa doesn't say anything, sliding into the car, and Toshinori joins him a few seconds later, just as silent.
He's quite perceptive.
Aizawa finally says a good minute after they've started to make their way to the next house. Toshinori releases a deep sigh.
He is very smart,
He replies.
I do not know if we will be able to keep this secret from him.
Maybe if you toned down the badness, Aizawa thinks, but does not say. It seems cruel to point a disrupting finger at Toshinori's and Midoriya's relationship, especially now that they seemed to be closer to one another than they've ever been. And good Lord knew if Toshinori needed someone that made him want to hang on this green heart a bit longer.
Do you remember how it was?
Toshinori asks in a soft, pensive voice after a while.
What? Being at their age. Figuring life out.
There's a faraway look into his eyes.
I can't really recall anymore how it was for me.
Aizawa hums, non-committal.
I remember some things.
He finally replies.
I definitely remember how stupid I was. Makes me wish to go back in time and slap some sense into myself.
Toshinori chuckles, shaking his head.
Taking that out on the students instead, huh? Shh. Don't give away my secret.
Aizawa smiles to himself when Toshinori laughs heartily. Well, look who decided to finally show his face around. Hadn't it been for your mother's frequent visits, I would have no idea what you were up to, young man. Izuku smiled, letting himself being guided into a tight hug. Have you been keeping up with your training, Izuku? Ichiko-san asks after letting him go, her hands heavy and reassuring on his shoulders. Mom, just look at him. Miki intervened, almost bored. My God, you two meatheads, she added in a mutter, making the both of them laugh.
I'm sorry I haven't been able to visit anymore since the start of high school,
Izuku finally says, scratching the back of his head. Life turned out to be pretty crazy, huh? There's a lot of unspoken things in that single sentence, but Ichigo-san does not comment, just gave him another friendly pet. It's good to see you, Izuku. She simply says, her voice low. You're always welcome to come around whenever you want. Remember that, okay? Izuku smiles at her one last time before she turns to Miki. Well, I've got some errands to run, so I'll leave you two to it. She says, cheerful, approaching the door of her house and putting on her shoes. I'll be back for lunch. You're invited to stay, Izuku, of course.
I will be happy to stay for lunch, Ichigo-san,
he says, because he at least owes her that much, waving at her before she closes the door.
Okay, why are you here?
Miki says, blunt as usual, fiddling with something around the sink.
I mean, I'm sure you wanted to come by and say hi to Mom, too. But you have something to ask. I can see it on your face.
Izuku sighs, sitting at the kitchen table he had been so familiar with only a bunch of months prior. He knows he's about to dig his own grave, but he honestly doesn't know who else to ask about this.
Miki, how did you figure out you liked your boyfriend?
Miki stops whatever she's doing, and Izuku can feel the unholy glee in her light. Self, meet your own grave. As she turns around, she exhales a giant grin in her voice.
Can this be it? Has the spring of adolescence finally come for Midoriya Izuku as well?
Miki, please! He sighs, desperate, melting on the table.
I'm in deep trouble here.
Oh, in deep trouble. My, oh my, what a terrible situation.
She says, purposefully dramatic.
And pray tell, who could it be that is making you feel such sweet feelings?
I hate you, Izuku mutters, making her laugh.
I don't even know what these feelings are. I can't make sense of anything. That's why I asked.
She finally seems to sober up as she softly puts a glass of something in front of him. It smells like mint.
Why don't you explain from the start?
She says, sitting at the other side of the table. And so Izuku did, as they sipped their drinks carefully, omitting names and dates and locations and any detail that could possibly lead back to Todoroki. He could at least try to protect his privacy, if nothing else.
And my quirk is not helping,
Izuku says at the end of the tale, frustrated.
I can't figure out if what I feel is really mine or the results of this person's feelings for me. I've never felt like this before, and I don't know what to think. I don't know how to recognize if I really like this person back or not. It's just all so confusing.
I see.
Miki says, pensive, when he trails off.
Well, first of all, there's no love for dummies guide out there. Only you can recognize if what you feel for them is something more than friendship.
That's not really helpful,
Izuku mutters, hanging his head down.
But,
Miki continues, playing around with the ice in her glass,
I might have an idea that could help you figure this out.
He looks back up, hopeful.
Go on a date with them without your quirk, she says. If you don't have it on, you can be sure you are not feeling anyone else's feelings, if not your own, right?
Izuku weighs the idea in his mind. In that sense, she's certainly right. But Todoroki had never answered to the text he sent just a couple of days prior and doesn't even talk in the group chat anymore. It's clear he's avoiding Izuku. He's probably very embarrassed by what has happened. Izuku doubts he would be up to go anywhere alone with him, let alone a proper date.
I don't think they will be very receptive to the idea.
Don't worry about it. I'm sure Ochako will talk him into it.
Miki replies, distracted, taking both their now empty glasses away to put them in the sink. Izuku's eyes go a little wide, and when she turns around, she sighs, long-suffering.
Izuku, I love you, and it's nice of you that you tried to protect Todoroki's privacy, she says. But I assure you, the fact that he has a crush on you the size of this city is obvious to anyone who is not blind. I knew who you were talking about from the start.
Oh,
Izuku says, blushing.
It's a bit awkward, but cute, she adds. You'd make a nice couple.
When he crosses his arms on the table, hiding his burning face into that, Miki laughs heartily, giving him a pat just as strong as Ichiko-san's. In the end, Izuku procrastinated. He was moving to UA as it had now turned into a boarding school, and there were just so many things to do in the last couple of days that he really didn't have the chance to think much about his newfound set of interpersonal problems. As if he needed those too, on top of trying to get out of his first year of high school alive in one piece. He was definitely not hesitating because he was scared to confront these new scary feelings that had crashed into him like a train going full speed out of apparently nowhere. Nuh-uh! He was terrified. He had no idea his entire being was even supposed to feel things so confusing and messy and clashing into one another, and how do people even function with this stuff? Could he not just go back to feeling like a guy with great friends and no, I have no idea if I like you romantically or not, and at this point I'm too afraid to ask problems? No! His phone stayed stubbornly silent. They were all probably very busy with their own matters, and Izuku felt especially bad at the idea of bothering Uraraka with his whining, considering she had to deal with having to literally move entirely out of her rented apartment now that UA implemented dormitories. So he bid his time, feeling increasingly nervous at the idea of having to face Todoroki soon, whenever he wanted it, or not. Mom gave him a long, long hug on the day they were to be officially moved in before the start of the new trimester. "You be careful, okay?" she said softly, caressing his cheek. "And be obedient, since Mr. Aizawa has been so gracious as to give you another chance to earn his trust, despite everything." "I know, Mom," he replied with a little embarrassed sigh. "I will be nice, promise." "And remember to call me." "Of course." They hugged again, silent. "I'll visit in the weekend, you know that. Bye, Mom." And now here he was, in the midst of his classmates, as they all grouped up in front of their new home, and Aizawa-sensei waiting for them there. Izuku forces himself to stay neutral and calm, despite feeling Todoroki's silent presence behind him like a living, burning fire. "Class 1A. Aizawa-sensei says as a welcome of sorts. "Glad to see you are all here on time."
Glad to see you too, Sensei, Asui says with a little croak. "After seeing that interview, I was afraid you might not teach us anymore. I was really sad."
There's a murmur of agreement going through the class, and Aizawa-sensei seems to take a second before continuing. "Do not worry about that," he finally says evenly. "I will be giving you a little tour and briefing of the facilities, but first, there's something I need to say." There's a little shiver going through a certain set of lights as they wait for what is inevitably to come, and Izuku is not surprised in the slightest when Aizawa-sensei calls out to them. "Todoroki, Kirishirama, Yaoyorozu, Ida, Uraraka, and Midoriya," he says, voice low. "You have taken upon yourself to act in a way you knew perfectly well was against the rules, by interfering that night during the operation to retrieve Bakugo." Shock goes through almost all of Izuku's classmates as he feels eyes boring into them. "Considering the circumstances and the fact you have avoided direct combat, you've been granted a pardon." Aizawa-sensei continues. "Count yourself lucky. Had things been different, I would have all of you expelled." Izuku flinches. "Sensei?" A long-suffering sigh. "What is it, Midoriya?"
It's my fault,"
Izuku admits in a low voice.
"I convinced them to come with me."
Midoriya!
Yaoyorozu suddenly intervenes, her voice firm.
It was our own choice to come. We must take responsibility of our actions.
Izuku bites down on his lower lip, guilt gnawing at him. He still feels like it's his responsibility if Aizawa's trust in his friends has come to lack now.
"Yeah,"
Kirishima adds, sounding regretful but sincere.
"I wanted to come too. It's not just your fault."
There's a tense feeling in the air. Aizawa-sensei sighs. Whoever responsibility it is, you have all acted fully aware of the risks. As I said, count yourself lucky this one time because you won't get another chance so easily. From now on, I expect all of you to abide by proper procedures and follow the rules that are set in place for a reason. Am I clear?
There's a small depressed chorus of, "Yes, Sensei," before Aizawa-sensei turns toward the facility.
Okay, now that is out of the way, let's go. I'm sure you are all very eager to see your new home.
But there's definitely a tense hesitation in all of them after that until Kachan takes it in his own hands to cheer up the atmosphere a bit in his own very Kachan way. Izuku smiles to himself as poor Kaminari mumbles and gurgles, making his classmates flutter and laugh. Kachan might have not changed much, apparently, and yet Izuku is pretty sure he changed plenty. It was already evening by the time all of them finished unpacking and settling in their respective rooms. Izuku finished pretty early. Not much to do in terms of decorating when you can't see, and spent the rest of the time exploring the first floor communal facilities, familiarizing himself with the space and appliances, which almost all had Braille implemented, he noted, as bit by bit his classmates trickled in after setting up their own rooms, chatting with one another. Izuku was happy to be back, meet with all of them again, but there was still this lingering tenseness in his heart. When everyone seemed to have regrouped on the first floor, sitting around the couches and chatting, Izuku had took a deep breath, standing up and clearing his throat to attract his classmates' attention.
Guys, I just want to say something,
he finally says when the silence has fallen on them, a bit tense.
I had the chance to speak with some of you already, but the majority... Last time we met, I parted ways from all of you in a way I'm not proud of. I wanted to apologize for that.
The only person confused by this seems to be Kachan, as the others could probably recall pretty well how he had snapped at all of them and stormed off his own hospital room when they had all come by to visit, attempting to cheer him up. There's a chorus of, "Don't worry about it," and "It's cool," and gentle pats on the shoulder as the tenseness finally leaves him when he sighs and finally smiles at them. One more step to making things better. "Okay, Mr. Serious Face," Ashino jokes, elbowing Izuku gently, making him laugh. "Now that all the due apologizing is done, let's do something fun. Us girls were talking and we thought it would be cool to have a room showcasing competition." There's a mixed bag of reactions in everyone's light, ranging from absolute indifference to badly hidden embarrassment. Izuku snickers at that. "Let's start with you, Midoriya, since you clearly find the idea so funny." Kaminari interjects mischief in his voice, as they all have already started to move to the second floor before he could even say anything. He trails after them, silent, tilting his eyebrow when Ashino comments, almost disappointed, "Not much going for decoration here, huh?" After they entered his room. "You do realize that I'm blind, right?" Izuku deadpans, amused, causing a chain reaction of snickers. "Well, it's not completely empty," Yaoyorozu says, surprise in her voice when she notices the little clutter of knickknacks sitting on the small dresser. "Aren't these all the gifts we sent you when you were unwell?" "Unwell? What a kind way to put it." Izuku shrugs, a little blush rising to his cheek.
Yeah.
"Are you a darling?" Kirishima teases, elbowing him. "Wait, is that?" That's when Izuku remembers and blushes for real. When he packed everything in the boxes the school sent him, he was left with a lot of unused ones, not really having much besides the bare necessities. That's when he remembered a certain plush that a certain someone won for him during a certain day, and, well, it's very soft. Izuku mutters as a way to justify himself, red to the roots of his hair, while Kirishima laughed. Izuku is pretty sure that Todoroki is trying to open a hole in him for how hard he can feel his staring. Shoto groans when his phone buzzes. He finally managed to get back to his room after the class had been through with that
admittedly rather entertaining room showcasing business. Shoto had been ignoring Uraraka's pointed looks the whole evening, keeping to himself, but he knew he couldn't run forever. With a sigh, he took his phone, unlocking it with a lazy thumb slide, and then blinked at the picture with absolute no text the girl sent to him. Uraraka, is there a particular reason why you sent me a picture of a chicken? Oh, was it? I thought it was a picture of you. Alright, point taken. Why did you not talk to him at all? You had like all the chances. He didn't talk to me either. Todoroki, Shoto, you're not trying to sway me now. I know that Midoriya tried to contact you and you ignored him. You big chicken. She was right. He was a big chicken. With a groan, he let his face fall down against his pillow. He just had no clue what to do. The mere idea of talking to Midoriya sent him spiraling into a silent panic. Maybe it's just better this way. We can just let it go. Forget it all. It's not that important. I know you haven't stopped thinking about him at all. The face you made when we met this morning and you looked at him was embarrassing, so don't give me that crap. I don't believe even for a second that you really want to forget your feelings for Midoriya. Then she's right again. But what is Shoto ain't supposed to even reply? Oh yeah, I can't stop thinking about that kiss and about the fact that despite how badly it ended, it was pretty much one of the best things that has ever happened to me in my entire life. It was so pathetic. It was pathetic. And then he couldn't just stop thinking about it, about the sensation. He still felt it as if it had happened a minute ago. The way Midoriya had tensed against him at first to then relax, his soft lips gentle against Shoto's, the way he had opened his mouth to him with that little groan, pliant and inviting, the way he pushed up against Shoto, hungry for more, his tongue invading Shoto's mouth. Stop thinking about it, he hisses to himself, angrily stuffing his head under his pillow. He lies there stewing in his own unhappiness, not even bothering to reply to Uraraka. It was bad enough that their training was to start the next day, and then he'd have to spend most of his time around Midoriya whenever he wanted it or not. Not to mention how awkward it surely was going to be around lunchtime, since their usual easy friendship routine pretty much blew up after Shoto had the brilliant idea of throwing a live grenade right in the middle of that. A knock on his door. Shoto groans yet again. He can't believe Uraraka would bother to come all the way to his room to scold him some more since he was ignoring her text now. Another knock. With a sigh, Shoto climbed on his feet, giving up to the fact she was not going away until he answered. He almost had a heart attack when he opened the door, finding himself face to face with Midoriya, his hand in midair like he was just about to knock again, the other holding his cane. Hi, Midoriya says after a long second of tense silence, a small strained smile on his lips. His eyes were paler than usual. Can we talk? If Todoroki had anything to say regarding the fact that Izuku was clearly keeping his quirk turned off as they silently made their way to the first floor and then outside to sit side by side on the stairs leading up to their dormitories, he surely did not vocalize it. Izuku carefully sat on the first step, folding his cane and putting it down at his right side, Todoroki silently sitting by his left. So, he forces himself to say, because at this point it's pretty clear Todoroki will not open his mouth unless he's strictly required to.
I had time to think.
More silence. Izuku sighs. This is hard.
And, to be honest, I'm still confused.
He admits in a low voice, collecting his knees against his chest and resting his head on top of them.
I never felt like this before, and I don't know what to do with all of it.
He can hear Todoroki shift a bit near him, uncomfortable.
And, well, I still don't understand what I felt when you...
He trails off a bit, coughing.
In that moment, I mean, my quirk is usually pretty strong, but in that moment, to me, it felt like the dial brutally got turned up to 11, and I'm pretty sure I felt your thoughts.
That finally gets a word out of Todoroki as he blurts a weak, shocked, "What?"
I know, right?
Izuku laughs nervously.
It was so weird. That's why I reacted like that. I'm sorry about it. And I still have no idea what that was. It confused me so much, and I don't know what to think.
The silence stretches, and Izuku has to resist the temptation to turn his quirk back on just to try and feel what Todoroki might be thinking now.
So, I had an idea.
Well, technically not his idea, but there's no need to linger on details.
If you are willing to give me another chance, I would like to go out with you, just the two of us, with my quirk turned off, and try to figure out if what I feel is really all mine.
There's a long silence, and Izuku is bracing for the "I don't want to talk to you anymore." For anything, really, until Todoroki finally speaks, his voice rough and incredulous. "Are you asking me on a date?" Izuku blinks and clears his suddenly very dry throat.
Yes, I guess I am.
And before he could chicken out and take it all back, he adds,
This weekend? I know you usually take a day to go visit your mother, so I'll leave that up to you, really.
There's yet another long moment of silence as Izuku waits, tense, his heart beating madly in his chest. "Okay," Todoroki says, careful, like he's afraid he might break it under to pieces if he speaks a little faster. "Saturday." Something inside him releases as Izuku sighs deeply, turning a bit toward Todoroki with a tiny smile.
Saturday.
He whispers back, and when Todoroki tentatively grazes Izuku's fingers with his, Izuku does not take his hand back, their fingers barely interlacing. They sat like that for a long time, in silence, with that little contact linking them, their only companion, the singing of cicadas in the summer night.